Once upon a time there was a man who had a son. Actually, he didn't have the son. His wife had the son. But he was there in the room when the son was delivered, even though his wife probably didn't really care if he was there or not. But he was there, and he was proud of his son. Well, when the son grew up a little bit, the father figured it was time for the son to learn a little bit about music. So he wanted his son to learn an instrument. The father had always been sort of partial to the guitar. So they went to see the guitar teacher, and that guitar teacher looked at the son and he said, "Well, boy, I could teach you some things, teach you how to play things like this." So the boy said, "That sounds pretty cool, Dad." So the father said, "Well, let's get you some lessons, boy." So they bought the beginner guitar. The beginner guitar cost $98.25, without tax, of course. And so the boy took some lessons, and after 6 or 7 months, the boy was playing things like this. And the father said, "Boy, that sounds just wonderful, but it's not quite what that teacher was showing us now, is it?" So they went down to the music store, and they went to the teacher, and they said, "Teacher, what was that thing you said my son could be playing?" And the teacher said, "Oh, you mean this?" And the father said, "Yeah, that's the one." He says, "How come my boy can't play that?" And the guitar teacher just looked at him and said, "Well, it doesn't come easy, sir, but I think I know what the problem is. What your boy needs is he needs that intermediate guitar to do those kind of things." So the father looked at him and pondered a bit, and he said, "The intermediate guitar? Now what's that going to cost me for an intermediate guitar?" And the teacher looked at him and said, "Well, you're in luck, sir, because the intermediate guitar just happens to be on sale this week. The intermediate guitar goes right now $354.12. No tax, of course." And so the father just dreamed of his son being a guitar player and said, "Well, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes." And so the father bought the intermediate guitar. And 6 or 7 months went by, and the boys practiced just as hard as he could. After that time, he went to the father and he said, "Dad, would you like to hear what I can play?" And the father said, "I surely would." And he said, "Okay, Dad, here it is." And he played. Now the father, not being one to make his son feel too bad about things, said, "Son, now that sounds pretty much near familiar to me." And so the son said, "Well, Dad, that's the song I play." And the father was a little bit concerned, and so they said, let's go to that music store, and let's see what that guitar teacher has to say for himself." And so the father and son went down to the music store, and they went and they saw that guitar teacher sitting there just playing that tune, just as pretty as can be. And they said, "Excuse me, sir, but I thought that song you were playing there before." And the guitar teacher said, "Oh, you mean this one?" And the father said, "Yeah, that's the one there. How come my boy can't play that song yet?" And the guitar teacher, he sat back and he pondered that question. He really did ponder it. And after a few minutes, he said, "You know, sir, I think I know what the problem is." I said, "Your boy your boy is playing on that intermediate guitar there. What he needs is an advanced guitar. And the father said, an advanced guitar? And could you tell me how much that advanced guitar might be costing this week? And the guitar teacher says, well, you know you're in luck. That advanced guitar this week is selling at a special price only this week, $999.99. And of course, no tax included. And the father said, $999.99. Well, my boy needs that guitar, and I surely do hate to part with that kind of money, but if that's what it takes, let's give that boy that guitar. And so they bought the boy that guitar, and they went an extra special couple of weeks this time. It was about 7 or 8 months, as I recall the father telling me. After 7 or 8 months, the boy came to his father and said, Dad, would you like to see what I've been practicing? And of course the father was very excited to hear it, and so the boy started very slowly, pulled out that shiny, shiny guitar, and he started to play his song. Now the father looked at the boy, saw how hard he concentrated, hated to break the boy's feelings actually, but said, you know boy, now where have I heard that song before? And the boy said, well Dad, that's the song I've been playing. Father was not too happy about this, but of course he couldn't let the boy hear that. So he said, boy, let's go down to that music store. And so they strolled down to the music store, stopped at their favorite ice cream place before they went to the store. Tried to cool off a bit, you know. Well, the father went into the music store, and there was that guitar teacher just playing that beautiful little melody, just as pretty as can be. And he said, excuse me, sir. And the guitar teacher looked at him and said, yes, sir. And he said, you know that song you were playing there a couple of years ago for my son? And he says, oh, you mean this one? And the father said, yeah, that's the one there. Why can't my son play that song yet? And the guitar teacher, you know, he pondered that question very hard. He said, sir, your son's been playing for a few years now. I think what we need to do now is we need to think real hard about this. And I think he's ready for the professional model. The father said, the professional model guitar, you said? The guitar teacher said, yeah, the professional model. The father said, what could that possibly run me at this time? Well, the guitar teacher said, you wouldn't be surprised, sir, but this just happens to be sale week on professional model guitars. We are selling that guitar for $45,000 on the money, no tax included. The father said, $45,000. My son is going to be a great, great, great musician. He's going to need the right tool. Well, sir, I guess we're going to have to buy him that professional guitar. Well, you would not believe this, but about a year later, the little boy, who was actually kind of a grown man by now, well, he came over to his dad and he said, Dad, you won't believe what I've been working on. His dad said, oh, I think I might know. He said, would you like to hear it, Dad? I said, surely. Actually, not me. I'm telling the story. The father said, well, I would surely like to hear that. The boy went to his guitar. He warmed up his fingers a bit. He shined on his shiny guitar, and he played. Well, the father had to admit that did sound a little bit better, but still he did recognize the tune. He said, boy, I'm going down to that music store, have a talk with that music salesman there. And so he did, sir. And this time they didn't get no ice cream. They went right to that guitar teacher and they said, excuse me, sir, but you know that tune you were playing for my son there about 7 or 8 years ago? And the guitar teacher said, oh, you mean this one? And the father said, yeah, that's the one. Why can't my son play that song yet? And the guitar teacher, well, what is he playing? And so he told the boy, play what you've been playing. And the boy started to play. And the guitar teacher said, that's quite a tune. I don't believe I know that one. Well, you see, the guitar teacher, all he really knew how to play was this. He couldn't play this. And it's a good thing I can play that, because that's the background music of this story anyway. And so that guitar teacher actually couldn't play all that much except for this. And well, the father found this out, and he was not too happy. Well, I won't go into the details, but that music teacher no longer plays the guitar. Luckily for the son, though, he did grow up into be a big strapping boy of 350 pounds. Got himself a 4-year scholarship to a local college. He plays there on that old football team there. Well, the father, he's pretty happy. He don't have no guitar player in the family, but he does have a millionaire for a son. And that father is just as happy as can be. Goes to those football games every Saturday and every Sunday. Sees his son as much as he can. Sometimes they reminisce about the old guitar playing days. Sometimes life just don't end up the way you think it will. But sometimes it can end up a little bit better. Thanks for listening.